Hi everybody, welcome very much to the channel. Today, let's talk about Sun in Cancer and Moon in Aries. Leave a like if you enjoy the content and let's get started. Sun in Cancer means that we are creating new actions, expressions, and visions that derive or create themselves new emotions, new feelings, new spiritual purposes, new imaginations, or spiritual concepts in general. Then the moon is in Aries, so it means that today we are reacting and responding in new, expressive, personal, intense, or reckless ways. And most likely, we are reacting to things that are dealing or surrounding our uniqueness and our individuality, our sense of perception, and our sense of being able to be ourselves. So, if you are not feeling comfortable in being yourself, if you're not being comfortable with new feelings and emotions about your visions, about how you see yourself, about you feeling ready to be in the world and to create something out of your creativity, that's okay. Sometimes it's just you checking up on yourself to see if you're doing your work, to see if you're catching up with the homework that you left behind, for an example. And this alignment is actually a square. So a learning opposition, a cardinal learning opposition. So we are learning to initiate things in a better way. So how is it working today? So we are learning how to see new emotions, new feelings, and new spiritual purposes from our new emotions and feelings that deal with uniqueness, individuality, passion, frustration, or your personal interests or personal insecurities. We also learning how to feel more comfortable, more unique, and more ready when it's time to act or see in new emotional, spiritual, comfortable, or familiar ways. For an example, you might not be ready to initiate actually doing or seeing yourself or your space in a new way, but with the moon in Aries, you're gonna learn. Either you participate in the learning lesson or you're going to be forced to feel comfortable, to feel alone, or to feel like your goddamn self so you can initiate new emotions and feelings, new water cycles, new spiritual purposes and connections so you can expand and obtain more wisdom and knowledge about yourself and the spaces that you create or choose to associate with. Also, there might be some feelings of frustration, tension, destruction, or just some lack of energy feelings. Because when you're learning something, you're doing something, you're learning, but it doesn't feel like you achieving much. It doesn't feel like you are accomplishing much, but you are. It's just sometimes we need to see the end result to take conclusions out of the path that we were doing previously. So today, there might be some of those energies. You might feel a bit tired or a bit like you don't really know what's going on, or just like not a very specific feeling in general, because we're still developing, we're still learning how to mediate and how to make our emotions and feelings clash with each other so we can derive better actions and feelings about ourselves and the world that we live in. Also, Sun in Cancer can help us see deeper and more spiritually into our emotions and feelings, into our personal circumstances, into our personal interests and personal insecurities. So that might be also a bit uncomfortable. We might be forced to see certain vulnerabilities that we don't feel comfortable with. We might be forced to see certain passions, desires, or frustrations that we are avoiding or that we feel are too much for us, are still too above our heads, but you gotta start somewhere, right? You gotta start going into those spaces. You gotta start envisioning and feeling good into those spaces. Also, you might be feeling a bit disconnected from family, familiar, or comfortable spaces because we're feeling the need to be more unique or to derive our own conclusions, to apply our own limits and boundaries, to be our own boss and to be our goddamn selves. So you might still be in those spaces physically, mentally, or emotionally, but you might feel not so connected to your family or familiar places, or vice versa. They might feel like you're a bit absent. They might feel like you can't really connect with them because they might be also a bit more detached, because not only we are learning how to do so right now, but we also feel the need to be ourselves, or to have our own space, or to have our own visions. So being associated to spaces that are already comfortable and already expect things from us can feel a bit weird and even put us off, or we just disconnected in general. Now, let's take a look at the tarot card and dragon oracle card that I took for this specific alignment. So, the tarot card for Sun in Cancer and Moon in Aries is the Eight of Swords. This means you might be feeling stuck, repetitive, or like you're spending too much time in a certain thought, in a certain idea, in a certain relationship, in a certain conversation, in a certain topic or subject, or it might just feel like you're spending too much time in a specific mental space. On the other hand, you might be feeling supported, you might be feeling complete or experienced in thinking, communicating, and analyzing, or you might be feeling confident, sure, and very complete and achieved in a specific relationship, in a specific communication style, or in a specific way to think, communicate, and analyze. And how's the best way to use this energy? So, it's the Alpha Dragon. The Alpha Dragon usually symbolizes masculine power, the power to initiate, the power to stand strong, the power to be your goddamn self, the power to make sense and derive conclusions out of circumstances. So, this can help in breaking the cycle if you feel stuck or like you're spending too much time in a certain mind state, in a certain conversation or relationship. This can help you initiate, or you must be more like a man today. You must be strong and strive for your goals and for your values and initiate, bring things forward to change or refresh certain communications, certain thoughts, certain ideas. And if you're feeling supported, complete, or achieved in certain mental states or relationships, this is telling you to take that to other areas to help you bring new things, bring new states, and bring new ideas into other areas of your life. So if you're feeling supported, you can be a strong man today, have a strong mind, and initiate new adventures and new expansions in various parts of your life. Now, let's take a look at how the sun squaring the moon is aligning with the rest of the natal chart. We have Mercury in Leo, fatal attracting the sun and trining the moon. So we're thinking, communicating, and analyzing in fixed and consistent ways that deal with uniqueness, individuality, attention, validation, and pleasure. So that can help us communicate in a brighter or more narcissistic way the new emotions, feelings, and spiritual purposes coming from Sun in Cancer. And then we have a trine between Mercury and the Moon. So a gift to think and communicate in a more consistent or stubborn way about new feelings, new visions, new desires, passions, or frustrations deriving from our personal realm, from our places of comfort, or from our attractions in general. And then we have Venus in Gemini, which is fatal attracting the sun and sextiling the moon. So we are relating, committing, and enjoying in light, mutable, detached, logical ways that helps us connect easier and bring fresh air, bring better ideas and better association tactics to the new feelings, new emotions, and spiritual purposes deriving from the sun in Cancer. And also, it's an opportunity to relate, to reach further, and to make more sense, and for others to make more sense as well in a light and detached way about our new feelings, passions, or frustrations deriving from our personal life, personal interests, or personal insecurities. We also have Mars in Virgo, which is sextiling the Sun in Cancer, but it's misunderstanding, aka inconjuncting Moon in Aries. So, this is an opportunity to be passionate or frustrated about bringing organization, practicality, profit, and efficiency in a mutable and a sociable way to our new visions, actions and expressions that have something to deal with spiritual purposes and places of comfort, but also it might be misunderstanding ours and others, new feelings and emotions, new desires, passions, or frustrations when it comes to bring uniqueness, individuality, or personality into structure, organization, and efficiency. Then we have Jupiter in Cancer, conjuncting the Sun in Cancer as well, so expanding and deriving wisdom and knowledge from our new actions and expressions about feelings and emotions and spiritual purposes. But Jupiter is also squaring the Moon in Aries, so we are learning how to feel more comfortable in being unique, in being reckless, passionate, or frustrated about deriving new conclusions, new wisdom, and new knowledge about emotions, feelings, personal spaces, comfortable spaces, and spiritual purposes in general. Then we have Saturn in Aries squaring the Sun in Cancer, so we are learning how to see and act in new emotional and spiritual ways in areas that deal with structure, networking, association, and security that are also being flooded or being seen by new feelings, new passions, new frustrations, and new senses of uniqueness, individuality, and the right thing to do. And Saturn is conjuncting the Moon. So we're feeling more connected to the world, we're feeling more frustrated, supported, or smashed by the world, or we just reacting and responding to things that happen outside more than usual. So, Moon conjuncting Saturn can help us feel more comfortable in this square that has been going on for 24 days. Since the Sun went into Cancer, we've been learning how to see new emotions and feelings and new spiritual purposes and new places of comfort in these new realities, in this new world that is more reckless, more dangerous, more intense, but also more spiritual, unique, and creative. Then we have Uranus in Gemini, fatal attracting the Sun and sextiling the Moon. So, Uranus in Gemini means that change, opposition, and rebelliousness energy will come in more mutable, scattered, detached ways about thinking, communicating, and analyzing in more logical and cold ways. So, that can help us feel more fresh and accept or just go along with change without thinking too much about it. And the Sun in Cancer brings more purpose, brings more foundation, and brings more spirituality into an area of change that could be too loose or too nonsensical or without a purpose in the first place. And Uranus in Gemini is sextiling the Moon in Aries, so there is an opportunity to feel more ready, to feel more excited, to feel more insecure, or to feel more creative, frustrated, and passionate about change, thinking, communicating, and analyzing the change that is going around in your surroundings or in the whole world in general. Then we have Neptune in Aries squaring the Sun and conjuncting the Moon. So we're learning how to see and act in more comfortable spiritual and emotional ways about grand dreams and illusions, about grand subconscious patterns that we are now seeing and being exposed to for the first time in a very long time. But the Moon in Aries can make us feel more comfortable or more delusional while going through that process. And lastly but not least, we have Pluto in Aquarius, misunderstanding the Sun in Cancer and sextiling the Moon in Aries. So, since the Sun went into Cancer, everybody has a bit more of a chance to misunderstand the new world that we are going into, the big transformation that everybody is going into, where it will be way more valuable and kind of required for you to think, communicate, and analyze in your own mind with your own quirks and about specific and unique parts of reality that you are personally interested into. But the Sun in Cancer makes us create and pay more attention to things that deal with comfort, familiarity, emotions, feelings, and moods. So you might be misunderstanding the uniqueness, the individuality, and the purpose, but still the action to create something new, to create something purposeful and spiritual is still there. And Moon in Aries is an opportunity for us to feel more ready, to feel more excited, more passionate, more frustrated, more unique, more insecure, or more vulnerable about us being a part of a community or the center of a community where everybody can share, associate and build on top of each other's minds that are being expressed and thought in a unique, realistic, stubborn, consistent, and fresh way. That's everything for today. I hope you go through this learning process in the right way possible and you learn how to feel unique and act in comfortable spaces. So you can learn how to feel creative and keep a sense of familiarity. So you can see the spiritual purposes in your personal insecurities, personal space, and personality in general. Thank you for watching. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. Until the next time, I see you soon. Bye bye.